I pray this video finds who it needs to find. Let's just get right into it. So I'm calling this the trifecta of maturity. And I think this is a topic that isn't really touched on enough in the Christian faith. Maturity. And people always say, you have to be mature, you have to grow up. But what does that actually entail? Like, you see adults, maybe you've encountered adults who aren't mature. So I have a page here of just things I jotted down in some verses. I'm not sure how clear they are, but I'm just going to go through them. So pardon me if I look down at this every now and again. So my observation through these verses, just through prayer, through thinking about it, these are the three pillars of biblical maturity. And they all focus in on one sole thing. So here's what they are. You know what really matters, you have self-control, and you consider other people's perspectives. Those are the three things. And when you do those things consistently and when you do them well, you've reached maturity. You can always become more mature, you can always grow as a person. There's no perfect point. But the more you're good at those three things, the more mature you are. And when you look at somebody who's very spiritually mature, who handles something maturely, they're probably displaying these kinds of traits. They all focus in on one central thing, which is considering the long-term outcomes for short-term actions. That's what it really boils down to. You're considering what really matters in a decision. What things actually matter? What should you really be putting your time into? What should you really be considering as something that's important versus unimportant? Self-control. How do you react when something triggers you in a split second and you're not expecting it? Do you stop and think, or do you just explode? Do you just lash out? Do you just automatically react? And do you consider other people's perspectives? When people do things to you, do you immediately just flip out? Do you immediately become selfish? Or do you consider that maybe they see things differently than you? Someone who can slow down, control themselves, see in the moment that maybe somebody's thinking something completely different, and you can see their perspective. Even if they're totally in the wrong, right? At least you're able to see what they're thinking. And now, obviously, I have lots of Bible verses to back all this stuff up, but basically this harkens back to the fruits of the Spirit, which if you don't know what those are, it's basically these things that the Holy Spirit allows you to do when you allow the Holy Spirit to baptize you and to change your heart. So, according to Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, the fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And so self-control, I think, is one of the biggest ones, and I think maturity really hinges on that. It says, against these things there is no law. In other words, these are things that we as Christians desire to be. And these are the things that if you pray about it, the Holy Spirit will grant you these things. And these are the signs that someone has really been transformed by Christ, by God, by the Holy Spirit. In addition to this trifecta, which is knowing what really matters, controlling yourself, and considering other people's perspectives, when you're making short-term decisions and reacting in the short term, you're thinking about what's going to happen in the long term. By doing those three things, you're maximizing the chances that you handle a situation maturely, that you conduct yourself maturely in a biblically mature way. There's three qualities I think that really summarize this. It's selflessness, so putting others before yourself, honesty, and discernment. And what I mean by discernment is being able to see in a situation, to discern what actually is important in a situation and what is irrelevant in a situation. And also being able to discern other people's perspectives and not just see what you see, but rather to attempt to see what other people see in something. So I'm going to go through each thing. The first pillar of maturity, figuring out what really matters. I'm just going to read a few verses here. Colossians 3:2 says, set your mind on things above and not on earthly things. 2 Corinthians 4:18 says, so we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And the last one, whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. These three things all point to one central theme, which is you need to be able to see past the illusions that the world puts in front of you. It's not, oh my gosh, I just got this new car. Oh my gosh, I just got this new thing. Or, oh, this person has this. I'm going to feel bad about that. It's seeing what matters that's not in front of you. Focusing on what really matters, the qualities that you should possess that really matter. And that leads to you figuring out that what you have physically around you, materially, money, objects, approval, people, whatever, doesn't really matter, and instead you should desire the fruits of the Spirit. You should value what is unseen physically over what is seen and touchable physically. Those are the things that are going to bring people to God, and those are the things that are going to help you grow. In order to biblically mature, this is extremely important. You have to put your cares to the material after your cares for God, after your cares for the immaterial. Desire growth. Desire the fruits of the Spirit more than you desire the fruits of the world. Next point, self-control. Proverbs 25:28 says, like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. That's a really profound one. It's very heavy, and I think it's really awesome. And let's just think about that, right? A city whose walls are broken. If city walls are broken, it's defenseless. Man. It's saying that if you don't have self-control, you are defenseless. Man, that is so profound. Because if you can't control yourself, you're going to lose every battle. Every time you're tempted, you lose. You're defenseless against the devil. The more mature you get, the more self-control you have, the more the city walls build up, and the more defenses that you have. You can clearly see how self-control is absolutely important. 1 Peter 5:8, one of my favorite verses, says, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour." Being alert and of sober mind means that you're actively and cognitively aware of the temptations around you. Think about the word sobriety for a second. But sobriety is seeing things for what they are. When you're not sober, you're under the influence of something. It could be a substance. It could be lust. It could be something else, right? It could be another kind of temptation. Sobriety is seeing something for what it is. Temptation is an illusion from the devil to bring you away from the Lord, to put distance between you and God. The closer you get to sin, the further you get from God. The closer you get to God, the further you get from sin. When you're sober-minded, these temptations, you're immediately able to recognize them. But you actually have the self-control to pause when these things initially hit you. Instead of when you immediately feel temptation to lust, instead of automatically lusting, you're sober-minded. You say, wait, no. I'm not gonna lust. This is wrong. I need to get away from this. I need to flee right now. Or if somebody says something really mean to you, or somebody's picking on you, right? Instead of snapping back at them or like physically aggressing them or what have you, instead you're like, no, this person it's just the devil trying to get to me. This person just doesn't know what's going on. I cannot give in to this. I can't stoop to their level. I can see right through it. You can see right through it, but only if you're alert and sober-minded. This is a very big sign of maturity. You try to pick a fight with somebody who's actually mature, they won't even engage with you. They won't even try. Why? Because it's dumb. The long-term outcome to your short-term action of retaliation is nothing but punishing. And you have to be sober enough to see it. This is a huge part of being mature biblically. Consider every little reaction that you have. Be alert and sober-minded. Build up your defenses. Be able to control yourself. The more you can control yourself, the more mature you are, the less sin has a hold on you. Let's move on to the third and final one. Considering others' perspectives. This is huge. Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. In humility, value others above yourselves. I could either say this is selflessness or humility. I like the wording humility. 1 Corinthians 9:22 says, to the weak I become weak, to win the weak. And James 1:19 says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And there's a reason for this. When you're considering how other people view a situation, that's going to aid in both the long-term outcome, that's going to aid in your self-control, it's going to allow you to pause, take a second, and ask, what is this person thinking when they're doing this? Let me actually consider this. And 3, you're considering whether or not it matters more to them than it does to you. What really matters in this situation? If somebody is just flipping out over something that's not that big a deal because it's something material, it's an accident, it's not even your fault, consider why they're doing that. Are they too enveloped in the material world? Are they letting material things really just twist them? Are they letting material things take over their emotions? Consider why they're doing it and then choose to not let it affect you. Once you realize this, you realize that things that other people care about really shouldn't matter to you that much, especially if it's material. So in humility, value them above yourself because it really doesn't matter. Also, consider this when you're evangelizing, talking to somebody about a problem. If they're in a moment of weakness, humble yourself and become weak with them. Really get level to level with them. Don't try to play the high ground like you know everything. Don't play the high ground like you have Jesus, so you have it all figured out. Don't play the high ground, you have more experience with Jesus. You've got it all figured out. You're just better. Bring yourself down to where they are. Mourn with them. Be joyful with them, whatever it may be. That's gonna win you more battles. Being mature is realizing that it doesn't matter what your social standing is. It only matters what your standing with the Lord is. If your standing with the Lord is good, you have the fruits of the Spirit. You're faithful to him. He's changed you. People can see it. The only thing that matters then is that you meet people where they are. And that takes humility. That takes the ability to see things from their perspective. When you're always quick to listen and slow to speak, you're getting everything from the other person's perspective versus just constantly bombarding them with yours. This all closes in on considering the long-term consequences for short-term actions. A mature person really can control themselves in the moment by considering these three things and using that to their advantage to really get the best long-term outcome possible. The long-term outcome we want as Christians is eternity with God. So you need to be right with God. You need to be making godly and biblical decisions throughout your life. And you can do that with the help of the fruits of the Spirit. And also it's a sign of maturity that you have enough control to, when things happen that are bad, and trust me, they will. Life will throw itself at you at one point or another. It's your ability to just stop, control yourself, don't react right away, consider things from other people's perspectives, and focus on what really matters. The three pillars, the trifecta of biblical maturity. Grow these three things, and your life's going to be a whole lot better, and you're just going to mature in your faith so much. Thanks for watching. Follow the call to Christ, defend the faith, and God bless you.